Princess Anne is in Newfoundland this week to mark the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Beaumont-Hamel. She's Colonel-in-Chief to the Royal Newfoundland Regiment. Its ranks were decimated July 1st, 1916. And yesterday, she unveiled a new sculpture dedicated to that loss. So tomorrow, while the rest of Canada celebrates our national birthday, it will be a very different kind of day for people on the Rock. To them, July 1st is a day of remembrance because of all the battles fought by the Newfoundland Regiment during the First World War. Beaumont-Hamel wasn't just devastating, it was also defining. Here's Red Sharon.
In such a beautiful place, the scars no longer show easily, but most Newfoundland communities have them. Along with the trophies of a century-old war and the memorials are the touchstones from a disaster loosely disguised as a battle.
This was my father's sidearm.
So he would have had that with him when he went over the top that morning?
Yes.
For what good it did?
Yep. And it all happened in about 20 minutes. To lose so many friends and comrades in such a short time.
Terry Goodyear and his extended family know more about it than most. 5 of the 6 Goodyear brothers answered the British call to battle. Newfoundland in 1914 was a country populated with hardy stock, endowed with a fierce nationalistic pride. It was relatively poor and couldn't easily supply the weapons for war, but it had men. A population of less than 250,000 quickly found 500 volunteers, then another 500, and another after that. It was said that Newfoundland fed the British appetite for its war machine with its future. The Battle of Beaumont-Hamel started with a massive explosion, designed to rattle or eliminate much of the German opposition. But the Germans didn't budge, and the British offensive was delayed, just long enough to warn the enemy and ensure their machine guns were trained in crossfire at the cuts in barbed wire. The young men of the Newfoundland Regiment knew something was wrong. The chatter of machine guns never slowed. But orders were orders, and just after 9, they went over the top anyway. They didn't stand a chance. A single dead, withered tree marked the beginning of no man's land. They called it the danger tree. Few, if any, made it past. Over 700 bent into the fire. The next morning, fewer than 70 answered roll call. Amazingly, Terry Goodyear's father, Ken, was one of them.
When he arrived at the danger tree, he was wounded there. This was the only thing that he could use. He couldn't use a rifle because he had been shot in the elbow.
Right.
So he couldn't use that. It was the only thing he had to defend himself. Because he was there most of the night.
Another brother, Joe, was also wounded but survived that day. But by the time the war was over, the 3 remaining Goodyear brothers, Stanley, Raymond, and Headley, were dead. Terry's father came home to help run the family's construction company, even became the heavyweight boxing champion. But Beaumont-Hamel was one fight from which Newfoundland never recovered. After the war, it staggered along, debt spiraling out of control, until eventually in 1949,
Joseph Smallwood, the victorious leader of the Confederate forces,
Confederation with Canada. These are the 3 uncles you never got to meet, eh?
That's right. Yeah.
And what might have been?
What might have been.
Now 85, Terry Goodyear has had his whole life to think about that. Close to 30% of Newfoundland's young men were lost.
Newfoundland had the highest per capita losses of any British colony in the First World War.
Author David McFarland is related to the Goodyears, wrote the definitive book, The Danger Tree, about the war's impact on Newfoundland.
On July the 1st, the bombardment increases.
This month, he tours the island with songs and recitations of battle and loss.
That's where we walked straight into the enemy's heaviest fire.
I think that the whole thing about that war is it's a big what if, especially for a place that, in terms of population, was as small as Newfoundland. What if so-and-so had survived? What if so-and-so had survived? In many ways, the history of the 20th century of Newfoundland might be entirely different because you just forever ask what might have been.
Now the danger tree, the spot of so much death that July morning in 1916, has been brought back to life by visual artist Morgan MacDonald.
So this is a later photo of the danger tree.
Yeah. You can see barbed wire on it.
Yeah, you can actually see the barbed wire.
This was the inspiration.
This is the inspiration.
So that tree symbolizes where we stopped.
Yeah, that is the point of that they never made it beyond.
The beginning of the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actual shell casings from the battlefield will be part of the new memorial, along with forget-me-nots. The little pale blue flower that grows wild across the island, including in Terry Goodyear's backyard. It's become Newfoundland's symbol of remembrance, as a former country remembers the uncles and the generation lost, and thinks about what might have been. Red Sharon, CBC News, Grand Falls, Windsor, in Newfoundland.
And tomorrow, the first 30 minutes of our Canada Day special will carry this ceremony of remembrance for Beaumont-Hamel. Heather Hiscox will be in St. John's, and after that, Peter Mansbridge will have the rest of the Canada Day coverage from Parliament Hill. That's on CBC Television, CBC News Network, or live stream it at cbcnews.ca.